Welcome to Season 8, Episode 56 of Let's Go Blues Radio, the often imitated but never duplicated. Nobody would want to duplicate this episode of the original St. Louis Blues Hockey Podcast. We're broadcasting live on Thursday, March 12th, 2020. This is franchise episode number 242 all time. Your hosts tonight are yours truly, Kurt Price and Bill Day, and Jeff Ponder's wandering around somewhere out there in cyberspace, probably in the YouTube chat.
He's been sent down to the YouTube chat for conditioning.
Right. He's on assignment in the YouTube chat due to connectivity issues with Mr. Ponder this evening and a general shit show of our streaming providers for the show. So to interact with the show on social media, you can you can follow the show on Twitter at LGB Radio. My account is at Kurt Price. Bill's is at Billy Blue Notes, and Jeff's is at JPonder94. You can follow us on Instagram, like us on the Facebook, subscribe to the YouTube channel. I assure you that most shows are not like this one, where this show is broadcast live each and every week. And year-round, we'll be doing shows. Jeff Ponder does his summer series in the summer, aptly named. By subscribing, you are notified when new shows go live. So for those of you watching the live show on YouTube right now, we apologize, but feel free to comment in the live chat and we'll address what we can.
Jeff will fight you for it.
Jeff will. The world famous Let's Go Blues.com website is where you can listen to or watch past episodes of the show, browse the fan discussion forum, as well as get some cool St. Louis Blues themed t-shirts and stickers that help support the show. We had a couple of announcements today, but we're not going to get to. Maybe Jeff said tune into his Twitter account for a few minutes. He has now. So yeah, check out Jeff's Twitter account at jponder94 for some announcements he was going to make on this show, but he will do so on Twitter. The official beers of episode number 242, Bill.
Gone. I went. I was surprised to find I went to Fields Food for the first time. Grocery store down in Lafayette Square. Really high end, nice stuff there, and I found Péché Mortel by.
That sounds fancy.
Dieu du Ciel. This is the when I was in Montreal. This is where we went.
What is that in English?
Dieu du Ciel, I believe it's something like God in the sky. But Péché Mortel is mortal sin. So
it's appropriate.
Yes, it was totally appropriate. But yeah, I was excited to see it, and I'm like, oh, got a new place I can find it. Bottled 2017 0306.
Does it age well?
It does. It actually.
Right.
This is and it even says so on the bottle. Aging potential. Okay. Yes.
All right.
It's good. I haven't had one since I was in Montreal, so excited.
Montreal. Mine is we don't have any Corona on the show tonight. One, I don't. For me, I don't like Corona. And two, I'm not sure if Bill does either.
No.
So yeah, that's how we're gonna roll tonight. No Corona. Mine is the Fallon Brewery's Dad's Original Oatmeal Cookie Stout, which I've had on the show once before. It's pretty good. It was in the fridge. Saw it. Wanted to have it. It's tasty. So, no Corona, just Dad's Cookie Stout.
We should have got cookies while we were trying to figure this whole thing out.
You could have went to the store and back.
I could have gone upstairs and baked cookies.
Let me fix your camera.
Why do you keep breaking it?
I don't.
No. It's like the third time tonight.
Perfect. There. You were towering over me. I wanted to get us more on the same level.
No, I got you.
Okay. Today in Blues History, courtesy of the STL Blues History Twitter account, March 12th, 1980. The streaker, St. Louis Blues and Toronto Maple Leafs. A streaker took the ice in Toronto and stopped the game. And there are actually pictures taken. I'm not sure where these pictures appeared. In the paper?
Looks like it.
Because it does look like they appear in the paper, and they show the backside of this guy full. I mean, his bare-assed in the paper. And
it's probably the Toronto Sun or, good Canadian paper.
That's a good point. This was back in the day when streakers were shown on TV. They would
Right.
Or they would show the reactions they would get. So
Yeah.
now to discourage streaking, they don't show that stuff on TV anymore.
Right. Yeah, it kind of almost looks for a second like a scene out of Slapshot.
It really does.
Braid's go to collect the trophy.
It really does. He's got the tan line where the jockstrap could be. March 12th, 2015, on Tarasenko bobblehead night, both Brian Elliott and Steve Mason recorded shutouts, and the St. Louis Blues beat the Philadelphia Flyers in a shootout. Oshie and Tarasenko scored goals in that shootout, and Ken Hitchcock got a 700th career win.
How appropriate is that? Ken Hitchcock getting a very important milestone win in a game with no offense.
I know, right?
It's perfectly appropriate.
Yeah. And March 12th, 1935. I'm sorry, skip over one. March 12th, 1981. Wayne Babbage became the first St. Louis Blues player to score 50 goals in a season in a 4-3 loss versus the Montreal Canadiens. That was a big one to skip over. First 50-goal scorer in Blues history. He was the shit for a couple years.
Yeah.
And then he kind of just fell off the table.
Yeah. It's
him and Federico and Sutter.
Yeah. Hell of a line.
Kid line.
Yeah.
Second kid line. March 12th, 1935. Yes, I said 1935. St. Louis Eagles played their final home game versus the Detroit Red Wings in a 3-2 win. The NHL would later disband the Eagles and disperse the players across the league.
St. Louis Eagles, formerly the Ottawa Senators.
Yes. They only played here for what, 2 seasons?
Years.
2 years, yeah.
Yep.
And if you follow the STL Blues History Twitter account, the newspaper clipping attached to this particular tweet this is 1935. It looks that old.
Right.
And the way it reads, newspaper articles were penned much differently than they are now. It's so interesting to hear the terminology they used in these games. It's just kind of funny. March 12th, 1994, Peter Stastny made his St. Louis Blues debut with 1 goal and 2 assists and a 5-5 tie with the New York Islanders. Peter was the first of the 3 Stastnys to score in their Blues debut. Peter, Paul, and Mary, right? No.
Yan.
Yan
Stastny.
So if you guys missed it, Jeff Ponder, his tweet, big announcement for LGB Radio. We will be selling this jersey for $45. All proceeds go back to AB hockey sticks, all black hockey sticks, the awesome designers, and the show itself. So if you're interested in your own, complete with your name and number on the back and sleeves, let us know. And he's got a little mock-up there of the jersey. They look pretty sweet. Custom designed. We all had input on that, so it's pretty cool. And they're nice. They got the, what's that color? Like taupe?
Flesh tone.
Tan. Flesh tone, tan. Tan, blue, and yellow. It's good stuff. And Jeff's beer of the show is from our friends at Corona, because he did have a Corona.
Son of a bitch.
He had the Corona.
And that's why he was sent out to the minors today.
He's the guy. Yeah. Jeff's the guy that drinks Corona the day the NHL suspends the season. And he's also the guy that would wear 69 if he played high school football.
Mm-hmm.
Same guy.
That
guy. Rapid fire tidbits from around the NHL before we get to the big news of the day.
This one's pretty funny.
Vegas Knights forward Riley Smith on potentially playing games without fans in the seats. This was before they paused the season. They talked about playing games with no fans in the stands. He said, I played a few years in Florida, so I'm used to it. That is awesome. And there are 118 known elements in the periodic table. The last time the Toronto Maple Leafs won the Cup, there were 104. 1967, 53 years.
So what you're trying to insinuate there is that science has progressed and the Leafs have not.
Correct. And your feed there, I just got to fix that. There we go. Down.
Always striving for perfection.
Yeah, well, you know what? That's how we roll on this show.
I think I'm going to stand up the rest of the show just so you have to do it again.
Well, it wasn't quite perfect. The video on YouTube, it's got to be perfect. If I see something wrong, I got to fix it. Sorry, that's how I roll. And I hope the listeners appreciate the effort that goes into the show, trying to make it as perfect as possible.
That's what they appreciate about
That's
you.
what they appreciate about me. I hope they do. Montreal Canadian legend and 11-time Cup winner Henry Rashard passed away.
Henri
Rashard. I'm not French. It looks like Henry. Passed away on March 6th. His brother to NHL legend Maurice Rashard. Did I say that one right, Bill?
Yes.
He was nicknamed the Pocket Rocket. Played from 55 to 75. Won 11 Stanley Cups in 18 seasons, all with Montreal. The most Stanley Cups by any player. He's listed on the 100 greatest NHL players list. 358 goals, 688 assists. Won the Stanley Cup in his first 5 seasons in the NHL. That's ridiculous. His salary. This is why I have it on here, because his contract, his first 2 years in the league, this is an actual. It's in the Hockey Hall of Fame, apparently, or it was auctioned off recently. His contract was written up on a daily planner page out of a book. Yeah. It's got the calendar at the top and times on the side of it, and at the bottom it's sponsored by National Electric Service. It says fires can cost you money. Fire alarm systems can reduce this loss, and it shows Henry Rashard a bonus for signing $5,000 salary with Canadians for 55-56 season, $7,000 for 56-57 season, $8,000. If Henri plays with Royals, it will be paid at the rate of the minor league affiliate, I guess, paid at the rate of $5,000 per season. And they both signed it. Henry Rashard and the GM, I guess, of
Frank Selke.
There you go. Frank Selke. Okay, yeah. October 12th, 1955.
That is quite the artifact.
It is awesome. That is really cool and shows just how informal things used to be. I guess if you write it up, you both sign it, it's a contract.
Yeah.
Makes sense. All right. We got some comments in YouTube chat. Let's see. What happened to the streaming code? Did you end up using the company that Feldman used for his doc the other night? He just kidding. I have no idea what that means. Feldman used for his doc. Is that a TV show?
Corey Feldman?
I don't know.
Documentary?
I don't know.
That don't make no sense to me.
Jeff's on Twitter right now competing with us. Funny. Austin Lynch says, "Let's go Blues radio jerseys." Yes. Jesse Hill says, "IPAs." No. No IPAs.
Well, not amen. We had a civil conversation about that the other night.
And Jeff Ponder also says we have a contest to win a Bennington Not Nervous shirt announced to our show account tomorrow mid-morning. So the announcement will stand out. So don't worry about missing it. So yeah, if you're listening to this live, so on Friday we'll announce a contest to win a Bennington Not Nervous shirt. And I'm not going to toot my horn too much, except I will, but I don't mean to, but I'm going to anyway. It's
modest.
It might be the best Bennington shirt out there. I like it. It's pretty fantastic.
It's class.
It's nice. It's just well done. Said other people to me. I'm just repeating information.
Lots of people have been saying.
Many people have been saying. That's what you can say. Have you seen Bombshell, the movie? About the Fox News?
Nope.
Yeah, they talk on there about how if you don't have a source for something, or you want to pass off info as legit, just say many people are saying, which is true. And that happens all the time,
right? See at Donald J. Trump.
Yeah, and he does say that a lot. Many people are saying. The NHL suspends season due to the coronavirus pandemic. Commissioner Gary Bettman, released a statement that basically says that the season is on pause. He doesn't like to use the word suspend. He uses the word pause.
Much in the same way that, TV producers don't like to use on pause or canceled. It's on hiatus. That's what it kind of feels like to me.
Yeah. So, and the NHL follows the NBA lead and has paused the season. MLS has suspended their season for 30 days, along with many other sports leagues around the globe. The NBA had an active player who tested positive. Utah Jazz center Rudy and Gobert.
Yes.
Gobert.
Mm-hmm.
Tested positive for corona on Wednesday. Could have had it for a couple weeks before. During a press conference the other day, and apparently this was before he knew he had it.
Mm-hmm.
He deliberately touched all the mics during a press conference. This was a few days ago, in an attempt to show everyone the disease isn't a big deal. And then it turns out he has it.
And it turns out he is the reason why every
Yes.
professional sports league has now canceled.
Yeah.
Well, not every, but the NBA and the NHL have canceled directly because of him.
And it makes sense because the NBA and the NHL share
arenas.
arenas and locker rooms and microphones for press conferences and things. So everything has got to be disinfected, and people are told to stay away. And no leagues, just for probably a couple weeks at least. And that's just, I mean, it's comical. He's it's not a big deal. Touch everything. Oh, a couple days later, oh, I have it. Oh shit.
Yeah. It's a big dick move. Lots of outrage.
Should be
his way.
Should be, as it should be. I mean, first off, I mean, there's already enough people not taking it serious. I mean, I'm not saying freak out about it or anything like that, but too many people are blowing it off as something that's not anything. And when they compare it to other things that have happened, like it happened every year, like the flu, mosquitoes. Mosquitoes kill millions every year, or whatever. The flu kills tens of thousands in the U.S. alone, or I guess. But
it's not just the mortality rate, right? It's the
right.
It's the rapid spreading nature of the disease.
The rapid spreading nature and the mortality rate right now, and they haven't. There are a lot more people out there that have it than they know because they haven't tested. They don't have enough testing kits, whatever. But from whom they tested, the mortality rate is like 30 to 40 times higher than the flu. So, and what's comical to me about this is that, that people will always put caveats on this and say, well, it doesn't really affect anybody seriously unless you're elderly or have compromised immune systems. And I hear that and I'm like, that almost sounds like people that say that are saying that those people don't really count. They don't matter. It's like, well, it's only those people. Who cares about them? And I know that's not what they mean, but when they say it, that's how it comes off.
Yeah.
And that's not a good thing to say. It's just not. I mean, I understand that it is. I mean, you can still have. I mean, it's also funny. Oh, it's like it's flu-like symptoms. Is that all it is? If you have full-blown flu, you feel like you want to die. You really do. I mean, a serious case of the flu, you can't move. You're puking. You got the chills. You feel like death, and it's a fever, and you're exhausted, and you just want to lay and not move. And when you move, it hurts. And I think a lot of every year people say, "Oh, I had the flu." Like, did you really? You had the flu? Because if you had the full-blown flu, I think it would have been worse. But anyway, so thoughts on the NHL pausing the season? I mean, are you one of those people that think it's an overreaction? Are you thinking that it's justified? Do you think they should just cancel the whole season?
I don't. I hope they don't cancel the whole season. I think it's the appropriate course of action. Just because you have to think about every time you have a hockey game, you're bringing together 16 to 20,000 people, depending on capacity of venue, number of workers, all that, who otherwise that just seems that increases the chances of person to person transmission. I think it's the safe thing to do. I think a lot of municipalities have gone out and have passed these temporary orders, banning congregations. Right? It's City of St. Louis today said we're not allowing groups of 1,000 or more to gather together. And all I can think was, is this in social context, or is this also in work context? Because I work at a place where there's 5,000 people.
I do too.
And
I mean, not all in one place, but we're spread.
Right.
We're
Right.
it's university, so.
Right. And I'm on a corporate campus, and but I'm not going to be surprised if I am told to work from home for a couple of weeks.
I agree, and I feel the same way. Rumor has it that there was a meeting today about that possibility for university too. So I think they're kind of just preparing for the what ifs. If it gets to the point where they decide that that's possible, then they've already discussed it. So, which is smart. And I think that a lot of this too, again, you see so many comments about people that's overreacting. And I think, this is preventative. This is not to deal with an epidemic, like an outbreak that has currently happened in St. Louis. This is to prevent an outbreak from happening.
Right. It buys time, right there. Even Obama tweeted out tonight, the importance of, these events and these things being postponed and canceled is to help slow the spread. And we kind of squandered the one thing the Trump administration did great. Not that we're going to get into politics and talk this whole show.
This is not political. We're just talking about what's going on.
But the one thing that they did really well was quickly shut down travel from China for non-U.S. citizens. Mm-hmm. But then the lack of testing and
that's a problem.
It kind of bungled the whole thing. Cost us all that time that we saved, and so now these kinds of things are, at least in my opinion, they're necessary. It sucks, right? Right now there is so much bad going on with everything. I mean, you see the stock market?
Oh yeah.
That's the kind of thing.
Did you hear about the money they pumped into the stock market to try and fix it?
$1.5 trillion.
Yeah, and it lasted an hour, and it went right back down again.
Yeah,
and that was enough to give every citizen of the United States $1,500, which could have gotten them through 2.5 weeks or 3 weeks at least of quarantine.
Right. I did see Bernie Sanders was tweeting about that tonight, like just about how, asking to give Americans free healthcare.
Yeah. Where's that money going to come from? Where's it come from? And then they spend the money that could have been used for that.
When banks and corporations say we need this money, it gets pumped into the economy immediately. I mean, again, not taking any sides on it.
No,
just saying
it's just interesting that happened, and they pumped it in, and the stock market jumped up. But then an hour later, it's right back down again, same path. It didn't help at all.
Right.
After 2 hours, it was like non-existent. So, and it's funny because it's just
right. And
I think everybody's on the side of not wasting money. And I think that on the surface, without knowing a ton about it, it just seems like that's a waste of money.
Yeah. And the point I was getting at is that, you've got all these things, that are just, going through the presidential campaigns before the corona outbreak, all these things that just totally are stressors and drags, and sports is the great escape for so many people.
Yeah.
And not just sports, but concerts, symphonies, all the stuff that we escape into are just gone.
Yep.
Like Ponder tweeted last night, what am I expected to talk to my family now?
It's the silver lining for all of this is that people should know now how to properly wash their hands.
Yeah.
Everyone knows 20 seconds, right? Sing the alphabet twice. I told my daughter, and this is my kid. We talked about washing hands today, and I said, yeah. She goes, Dad, do you know what I do when I wash my hands? And I thought I had this covered. I thought, oh, gotcha. Sing the alphabet twice, right? She goes, no, I sing the Imperial March. I hum the Imperial March. It's about 20 seconds long, the intro, the chorus or whatever. I'm like, huh, that's hilarious and awesome at the same time.
I'll have to do that tomorrow.
Yeah. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah. Apparently that part of the song is like 20 seconds long.
Yeah. Well, Zoe taught me a thing.
Yeah. She said she timed it, so I'm taking her word for it.
Yeah.
Let's see. SpoonFudge says there are 331 million people in the U.S., not 1.5 trillion. I didn't say $1 per person. I said 1,500 per person. I'm not sure what that comment's about.
Yeah.
And Jeff says that's fantastic. Kurt's daughter is way more cool than my son. My daughter is way more cool. It is no offense, Jeff, but my daughter is way more cool than most adults I know. So
Definitely cooler than you.
yeah, oh yeah. She like surpassed my coolness when she was like 6 months old. After she stopped, well, no, I say she's about maybe 2, 1.5, whatever. Whenever they stop shitting themselves, that's when she surpassed my coolness.
Oh.
So, would you rather they do this or play in front of an empty stadium, empty arenas?
I mean, if taking a month off stems the tide and allows time for the infrastructure we need to be put in place and slows the spread, I'm for it. Right. But if we get to a point where it's like, well, we're just going to go ahead and shelve the entire season, just because, it's still spreading and,
right.
I mean, it's a gamble, I guess is the point.
Obviously, I think everyone would agree to play in front of empty arenas instead of canceling the season. But yeah. I think I would much rather them pause the season for a couple weeks,
right?
Give that a shot first, and then if that works and the numbers are going down to where they feel it's it's under control and manageable and it shouldn't have an outbreak again, then resume the season. But I playing in front of an empty arena would suck.
Yeah,
that'd be awful.
Can I say what really chafes me though? So. Bring this up, talking about playing in front of empty stadiums. So yesterday we were watching, I'm a big Liverpool soccer fan, and they had a UEFA game. Hasn't been much worry about an outbreak in England until today when a whole bunch of players tested positive for it. But, all the Atletico Madrid comes to Liverpool for this big UEFA Champions League game. No concerns. Coronavirus isn't even discussed. Borussia Dortmund game, because there's an outbreak in Germany, they played in an empty stadium and you could hear them talking. Yeah, you could hear when the ball hit the net. It was bizarre. And then, so Liverpool got bounced yesterday on, pretty much one bad play, because the best goaltender in the world right now is injured and the backup sucked. But today they canceled the remaining games in the round. And why couldn't they do that yesterday?
Yeah,
Liverpool's out and nobody else is. Yeah, that's just me bitching about my team being out. But it was bizarre. I mean, it truly was bizarre just to watch that. I mean, two world powerhouses in Borussia Dortmund and Paris Saint-Germain playing in an empty stadium, and it was like a pickup game. You just a men's league game where nobody shows up, and just surreal.
B&H Kel says, I honestly think Trump will have corona because of who he was with over the weekend. Yeah, he was in contact with someone who tested positive for it.
Two people now, and he's refusing to get tested.
Well, here's the thing, is that, and I and I think this is any president that this is not just Trump. If he is tested, and they will test him, he's gonna, and he has it, they're not going to say he has it. There's not a chance in hell they tell the public that the president of the United States has the coronavirus when he's older. He's on the line for being at risk, and I don't give a shit what any doctor says. He is not fit.
No,
he is not fit at all.
Very much on.
So yeah, and I think, but once he recovers from it, then I think they would say he had it and he was recovered. See, no panic. I can see it that going something like that. I can see that, and that would be a thing to, it sounds like something Putin would do. Yes, I had the coronavirus, and it didn't even faze me. Something like that,
Yeah.
So, SpoonFudge disagrees with me. Doesn't think that. Okay. I thought what I said was pretty logical, but maybe not. All right. You think he'd really say he has it? There's no way they would tell the public the president had it. That would create panic among some people. Yeah, I mean, people are weird. You can't. They're not going to ever do that, and that's a sign of weakness too for the president to say he contracted a virus. They would never do that.
Not this president. No,
not any president. I don't think. No, I maybe if it got serious, I think they'd have a hard time keeping that a secret. But I don't think if it wasn't a big deal, if he wasn't like suffering serious symptoms, I don't think they'd tell anybody. Or if they saw he was going to be fine and recovering just fine, they would say, well, he has it and he's fine. I can see that, but they wouldn't do it right away. You think so, Jesse? They would tell? I don't know. Okay. We'll see. He might have it. So we'll see. We'll see. So what happens now? Elliot Friedman said on NHL Network that the league may take a 2-week hiatus, then come back. He also said they could end the regular season, but expand the playoffs to allow teams that were close to the playoffs a chance to make it in, which could mean some kind of a play-in system. So that would be interesting. I'm all for them saying, well, this is okay. We're good. Start playoffs. Yeah.
See, I kind of liked Mr. Blues Hat's idea.
What do you say?
Top teams in either conference just play for the
cup.
Cup.
Right. Yeah, Blues and Bruins. Yeah,
rematch.
Sure. I mean, that's fair. Lots of talks from Blues fans putting a positive spin on the Tarasenko, as far as like this delay, this pause, giving Tarasenko time to heal up even more.
Right, but that is a transitive thing that goes to other teams, right?
There's two
Avalanche.
There's two things, and yes, I agree. There's two parts of this that kind of make me laugh a little bit. Yes, sure. Tarasenko more time to rest, maybe that helps him. I'm not sure if it would, but and I'll tell you why in a second. But yeah, the Avalanche were hit way worse than the Blues were with injuries. McKinnon just the other night. So, and he's out for a couple weeks. Yeah. So
couple of weeks.
That's what
perfect,
I heard.
Right?
Yeah. Right. Perfect. Right. So, and not just McKinnon, but like 4 or 5 players. Grubauer's hurt. He's out.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Kadri, I think.
Kadri's out. Yeah. And so they've got some big names on the team. Are hurt. So they would benefit from this break more than we would. And I think Blues fans would agree that the Avalanche are the biggest challenge the Blues in the conference. Yeah.
Though they did have the opportunity to catch us and shot the bed to the Kings.
They did. That was great. And they almost screwed up last night too. They allowed a goal with 13 seconds to go to the Rangers, and then they won in overtime. But they almost blew a point last night. Yeah.
That would have been huge.
Oh God. That would have given us outright first place because 1 game in hand, 3 points back.
Yep.
But it's whatever. So I think that, I mean, I don't know. This stems back to the conversation we had about fans yelling, "Don't rush Tarasenko back." And I kept thinking, I'm like, why does anybody think he's being rushed back? Just because he's coming back a little bit earlier than the initial, the timeline was by a couple weeks. Or well, if he was to come back and say 3 or 4 days, if the season wasn't paused, that'd be a couple weeks ahead of schedule based on the initial 5-month prognosis, whatever it was. So, I mean, I'm not sure why people would think he's being rushed back other than that. He's just coming back a little bit early. To me, they would want to make sure that he is 100% before he comes back on the ice. And I think that their current timeline factored that in. I'm going to say that they think he's perfectly fine, ready to go when he comes back. And the extra time to heal up more, Well, if he can heal up more, that implies he wasn't fully healed with the timeline they were going to bring him back on. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I'm not sure why the Blues would have done that. Why would they have brought him back before he's fully healed? I'm thinking if he comes back, he'll come back fully healed. So I'm not sure what extra time is going to do for him.
Yeah.
You know what my point is?
I get what you're saying.
Okay.
It's, if they're being fully transparent and honest about the timeline, for a true full recovery, and not just we need to get him some games before the playoffs.
Which I just
Then I totally get what you're saying.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean it's
yeah. It's just my initial thought was the same thing. I thought, oh, well, if they pause the season, more time for Tarasenko to rest up and heal up. And I thought about it. I'm like, more time to heal up. That would mean that he wasn't fully healed up had he come back when he was supposed to come back. So why would that have been the case? Why would they have done that? So I'm just kind of, you don't get 100% of the information from the doctors and the team about a player's injury ever. So you never quite know what's going on. But I'm gonna assume that that's the case. They're gonna bring him back when he can heal no more. Yeah, I mean, he's not a scrub player. He's a pretty big part of the the next handful of years for this team too. So they don't want to screw up his shoulder, because if his shoulder is not fully healed, then and he screws it up again, that could end his career. So we don't want to. That's not something we want to screw around with. And I'm not sure why they would. If the NHL canceled the rest of the regular season and started playoffs based on the current standings, here are the first round matchups. Boston would play Columbus, Tampa Bay, Toronto, Washington would play Carolina, Philadelphia will play Pittsburgh. That would be awesome. Vegas Knights will play Winnipeg, Edmonton will play Calgary, which I would pay to watch. St. Louis will play Nashville. Even though they're playing quite well, I like that matchup. And we haven't beat them this year yet. We're 0-4 against them.
Yeah.
So there's that, but I don't care. I don't care.
Yeah.
Although I kind of would like to play Dallas right now.
Yeah. Yeah. We've kind of owned them. Doesn't feel right for the Jets to be on the inside right at this point. They've just had a bad season.
Yeah, they've played better lately. That's why they're kind of. I mean, they're a wild card team right now, right? So yeah. But if what's the standings here? Standings. Dallas, Winnipeg is only 2 points behind Dallas. They've played 2 more games though. So, but Dallas can't score goals right now. Winnipeg's won 4 in a row, and Dallas has lost 3 in a row. So that's kind of, and yeah, everyone's getting ground on Dallas. If Dallas isn't careful, they're going to miss the playoffs if they keep losing. Past precedents for the NHL canceling a season or what have you. The 1919 Stanley Cup Finals were canceled after 5 games due to the Spanish flu. Which this is fascinating to me. Now, granted, this is the time 1919. Science and medicine weren't near what it is today. It's 100 years ago. But this was the Pacific Coast Hockey Association champion Seattle Metropolitans versus the National Hockey League champion Montreal Canadiens. Both teams had won 2 games, lost 2, and had a tie. There was a tie in the Stanley Cup final, 0-0 after 2 overtimes. So I guess they played 2 overtimes back then and called it a tie.
Well, I mean, I don't know. It would have been
best of 5 too.
Yeah, it would have been interesting to read up on it to see, was it stopped because of the rules or because players couldn't continue because they were starting to get sick? Because every comes out after that, several players got sick and one died.
Yeah,
from the flu.
Yeah, well, from complications of flu, but he didn't die for a couple years later. It was from the flu though. Yeah, which is nasty. If you die a couple years later from the flu, the Spanish flu. Most the game 4 ended in a tie after 2 overtimes, but most of the Canadiens players and their manager George Kennedy fell ill with the flu and were hospitalized, leaving only 3 healthy players. The flu would claim the life of Canadiens defenseman Joe Hall 4 days later. Sorry, not 2 years later. 4 days later. And Kennedy was permanently weakened by his illness, and it led to his death. So that's what I was thinking of. Kennedy's death was a few years later. So the Spanish flu is nasty. And talking about canceling seasons and whatnot, the Spanish flu, Philadelphia, their St. Patrick's Day celebration, they didn't cancel anything. They had parades, they had parties, they had everything during the Spanish flu. And there were outbreaks there like crazy. It spiked. St. Louis
canceled everything.
They canceled everything, and it never spiked here. It stayed below manageable levels.
Right. If you've read any of STL Today this week for the last 2 weeks, or just local Twitter accounts and local news feeds, they've all been touting about St. Louis was the model for how to stop pandemics from spreading.
Right.
And too bad it's 101 years later.
Right.
And those lessons, I don't know. I mean, it seems like, a lot of people are heeding it at this point, but I just wonder, I worry that, we waited too long to take some action.
Let's see. Looking at the YouTube chat here. Stop Amtrak and buses too. Well, if everyone's like quarantined to their houses, then then there's no one to take Amtrak or a bus.
Yeah.
There's some debates going on in the YouTube chat. So on the Stanley Cup, it says 1919 Montreal Canadiens, Seattle Metropolitans series not completed, and that's near the top. Back when they just put the team name on there, on the shoulder of it, I guess the top under the neck. Yes, that right. Shoulder part. Yes, right, correct. The makeup game. The Blues played the Anaheim Ducks to make up the game postponed due to the Jay Bouwmeester incident. Joe Bouwmeester. Prior to this game, the Blues had alternated wins and losses over the last 4 games. 3-1 win versus the Rangers, a 4-2 loss versus the Devils, and a 2-0 win versus Chicago. Which the game versus Chicago, first season sweep by the Blues over the Hawks in franchise history, which was I wasn't aware of that. That's saying awesome.
Something.
50 plus years of not sweeping a season series. Granted, they played a lot more games. They played 7 or 8 games against the 6 games.
Yeah, six games.
6 games. They played 6 games before was the lockout or whatever, the restructuring
in the Norris division era.
Yes, right.
The 21 team league.
Yes, they played 6 games, which I loved. I love more games against the division. I just did. I mean, I'd love 6 games against Dallas, Nashville, Winnipeg, Colorado. I mean, just I love it.
Yep.
It's also National Women's Day, where the entire NBC SN broadcast team was compromised of women, which led to a lot of interesting discussion.
Was that a Freudian slip?
What did I say?
You said compromised instead of comprised.
Really? Oopsie. Let me start over. National Women's Day, where the entire NBC SN broadcast team was comprised of women. Wouldn't compromised of women be no women, maybe interpreted that way? No, okay, whatever. I'm sorry, I'm trying to save it.
Right.
Ponder says compromised.
Yeah. It's I think that would have been you conceding the Twitter argument to the Drop podcast if that's what you really meant.
God, the comments about the all women crew. I mean, it was National Women's Day. Give it a rest.
Right.
Okay. I mean, were they as polished as some of the traditional male NHL broadcast teams? No. But the play-by-play and the color I thought was fine. I thought it was fine. I didn't like
Kendall Coyne.
No, I didn't like Kendall at all. Between the benches, I thought.
Right.
And she just, when she talked, she would stop talking and be done with her thought or comment, but it sounded like she was still talking. She was going to say something else and never did. Just stopped.
Right.
That every time.
Her
delivery.
Her delivery, her cadence wasn't very good.
No.
However, the alternative would have been Pierre Maguire mansplaining hockey to others.
True.
Right.
Yeah. I thought the play-by-play was probably better than it wasn't the. If you put it up against every broadcast team,
Mhm.
I've heard some bad NHL broadcasts from certain teams. To be honest,
Mhm.
I thought that one wasn't as bad as some of the other ones. I thought it was okay. It was fine. There was, I mean, it was there. She had never called a hockey game before. She's a professional broadcaster. Let's not let that be. She's not just some Zamboni driver they pulled off to call a game. She was a professional broadcaster, and she did the game, and she did a fine job for her first NHL, her first real live hockey game that she called.
Mhm.
So it was fine.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was different, not in a bad way.
No,
It was good. I mean, I like the idea. You know, I think, you know, hopefully you remember, so on the subject of Kendall Coyne Schofield, right? So she's very likable personality. You know, she's, you know, one of the best players for the U.S. women's team of the last 10 years. So she's a good personality, good person to be in that. But I'm hoping that she can go to the same school of broadcasting charisma that Patrick Sharp did. Because when Patrick Sharp first got into the broadcast business, he was abjectly terrible.
But Sharp's in studio.
That's
different,
right? But even when he did his first stint in studio, it was fucking painful. And
I can't recall.
It wasn't good.
Right.
And then he came back the next year, and he was just like, "Holy shit, this guy's really good." Pains me to say, former Hawk and Star, and
yeah, right.
But you know, so maybe you know, she'll be able to find that you know, the
sweet
right
spot,
right, the right coaching, the right tutelage,
sure.
and get that down.
That kind of thing is a teachable thing. I would think that's confidence. That's a technique. That's a teachable skill,
right?
And I'm not saying, and there are some people that excel at it, and there's some people that don't. But it's a teachable skill. BANH Kel in the YouTube chat says she wasn't any better than Pierre McGuire. Talking about Kendall Schofield, she was. Let's step back and be honest here. Pierre McGuire was a lot better than she was in that game. But Pierre McGuire has a lot of problems, but he's comfortable behind the mic and the camera. He's fluent. His delivery is good. It just what he says is a problem sometimes.
Right.
Just the content.
And when he's able to keep the know-it-all shit to a minimum is when he's
the junior
good.
hockey.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Key says Kurta saying that a woman couldn't drive the Zamboni. That is not what I said. It's not even close. What else? Who else is a Blues fan and wears a sweater on Thursday, 11 p.m.? That's from Jimmy Anderson. So the ratings for this game were fantastic on NBCSN.
Yeah.
They beat the NBA that night, and which, you know, it was the Hawks. They do get a lot of a really good following on TV. The Blues do too. The Blues get good ratings on TV usually when they're on. And it was National Women's Day. So there was extra viewers for that with the all women broadcast crew. So there was a lot of reasons why that beat college basketball on ESPN2 it beat, MLS on ESPN it beat, and then the NBA on NBA TV too. So good for them. Dunn's fight in this game.
Oh man, that was a tale of two 15-second intervals.
Holy
Kajula! It looked to me like Dunn was letting Kajula wear himself out, and
Dunn was a seasoned fighter in that fight. He was like rope-a-doping him, and then all of a sudden he throws a half a dozen and never connects on anything.
Yeah, and
then all of a sudden Dunn just goes into berserker mode and just destroys him. And then just woos the crowd.
Right. That look on his face when it was done.
That was awesome. I mean, that topped it off. And you know what's so funny is that it was in Chicago, right? So he's just wooing their crowd. And you know, the Hawks are having a shitty season again. They're gonna miss the playoffs probably.
Right. They were at 4.6% the other day when I looked at Money Puck.
and then so they're playing the Blues, and they can to feel good about themselves, the Hawks fans. Well, we could at least maybe beat the Blues. Our last shot at beating the Blues, we can beat them and maybe hurt their chances of winning the division. That's probably what they're thinking. And no, they lost the game and they lost this fight. And then Dunn taunts the crowd. It's just like it just keeps on coming for Hawks fans. They just, yeah. And when your highs are high with the 3 cups over 6 years, whatever it was, and then or 7 years, 8 years, 3 or 8, whatever it was, and then the lows are low with the team now. So it's just kind of a dog piling on Chicago, which is always nice.
Yeah, couldn't do that for a long time.
No, and it's just we talked about last week the torch being handed off, like that Brouwer goal against the Hawks in the playoffs. That was the passing of the torch to the Blues, and the Hawks have not been back to the playoffs since, or they have not won a playoff game since. They've not won a playoff game since because they lost. They got swept by Nashville, I think. So, yeah, and the Blues have just smoked them since, pretty much.
Yeah.
And then they lost 2-1 versus LA. I was at this game. It's a fine game. Yeah. I mean, it was
no LA.
No,
Florida.
Against, Florida. What did I say? LA.
Yeah, FLA.
FLA. Yeah.
Right.
Is that what I said? FLA.
You said LA.
Oh, I meant Florida. Yeah. FLA.
Yeah.
It was 13 rows behind the net with the Blues, defended twice, and I saw we got a good look at Preko's goal.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, seriously, if there was no net or no glass, the puck would have hit me. It was like coming right at me, and it up. I was perfectly in line behind the net. And I could see the smoke, upper glove. I was perfect angle. It's great, fantastic.
That game, came down to getting beat by another stellar no-name goalie.
Drieger. Yeah, he played good, and you could tell Florida in this game needed points.
Mm-hmm.
They played like it was a playoff game,
right?
And the Blues played okay, but it wasn't. They didn't.
They didn't have those dominating periods of possession like we've seen.
No, not like last night against Anaheim. No. So, but it is what it is. I met a nice Leafs fan at Sunrise Brewery before the game. He was going to the game and rooting for St. Louis because Toronto and Florida are kind of fighting for those playoff spots. So he commented on my Robert Thomas London Knights jersey. He said that that's his favorite OHL team, and he's from there.
Yeah, that's where Julie's from.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It was I sat down at the bar and he goes, "Nice jersey." And I thought, oh, he's just he's knows it's Thomas Knights jersey. And then I said, "Oh yeah, Robert Thomas." And he goes, "Oh, it is Robert Thomas." I'm like, "You comment on the jersey before you knew who it was. That's okay. Let's talk about this now."
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
it's
nice guy.
Center Ice is just a great place. No matter what day of the week, what day of the year, somebody's wearing a jersey in there.
Yeah, that's true.
Not just a Blues jersey.
That's right.
That's my kind of place.
It is. Blues 4, Ducks 2 last night. This was the game that was postponed by the Bowmeister episode. The resumed game was a full 60-minute game. Officially, it was 4-2 Blues because of the single goal scored by each team when they tried to play this game the first time around. But 3-2 was the score from the 60 minutes played last night. The only stats that carried over to this game were goals and assists. No goalie stats carried over. No time on ice stats, penalties, none of that stuff. So this was interesting, and there could have been this was a good trivia question game, or it could have been a great trivia question game. Had either goalie pitched a shutout, they'd have been credited with a shutout in a game in which they allowed a goal, which would have been interesting.
Yeah, and the potential bizarro meter things with this game
were off the charts.
Yeah.
Had Kyrou been scratched from this game, which he had been scratched a lot recently, he would have officially been credited with an assist in a game he officially wasn't in the lineup for, and officially had 0-0-0 ice time. But he played, so that cool thing couldn't happen.
Yeah.
And I guess if Barbashev wouldn't have played for some reason, his goal in the first game would have been a goal he scored in a game he didn't play in.
Yeah.
So weird.
Yeah, and who was it who had the Ducks goal in the previous game? It was Henrique.
Henrique had the goal last night.
Yeah, he had both goals.
Okay, yeah. Both goals, and they
So that's something. He scored 2 goals in a game, which he only scored 1 goal.
Well, that's true. Yeah, that's weird. So the Blues outshot the Ducks 37-32 after the Ducks came out as the better team, to be honest, in the first period for the first little while. Outshooting the Blues 6-1 early on. After that, the Blues took over and just slowly beat the Ducks by being the better team on the ice, to be honest. Their numerous shifts, their puck possession in the offensive zone was just
over
crazy.
A minute twice, I think.
Yeah, they just toyed with the Ducks. And yeah, it was, you could, I mean, you knew going in who the better team was, but watching on the ice, you're like, oh my gosh, that was just. Who do they play? The game before the Ducks, they played and they beat somebody.
They played the night before, wasn't it?
Yes.
And it was Delory had a hat trick.
Rangers? No. Forgot who it was, but
it was a play fun team.
There was a comment made by the broadcast team last night that said they looked much better in the previous game, but let's be honest, this is the Stanley Cup champion St. Louis Blues. So that was pretty funny, pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I thought the goaltending in this game was stellar. I mean, Jake Allen stood on his head in the first 10 minutes of the game. Jake Allen, right now, if we wanted to talk a little goalie controversy, he's the guy that's getting results right now, right? Bennington's lost his last 2.
Yeah, but he hasn't. Yeah,
he hasn't played poorly.
No, and before the last 2, he played quite well. His previous 5 or whatever it was. So.
But at this point, I wouldn't be afraid if Bennington couldn't start a game in the playoffs to be like, last year I would have been like, oh shit, here we go.
Yeah,
this is the beginning of the end. But Allen really has impressed me. He's really found his game, and he's making timely saves, unlike most other times in his career.
Right, and so he stopped 26 of 27 in this game. Got his 12th win of the season. He was 12-6-3, 2.15 GAA and a 9.27 save percentage. Couldn't have asked for a better rebound season for Allen after years of horribly inconsistent play that found his stats frequently among the worst in the NHL when you looked at him. So he's been consistent, which has been his issue, inconsistency. So he's thriving in his role as the clear-cut backup to Bennington. So that it'll be interesting to see if he did to get more starts and it was like a toss-up. I don't think he's screwed with the formula right now, but
no, not short of injury.
No, and this goes back to the frustration that we had as fans, like last year before that, when Allen wasn't cutting it as the number 1, but the Blues kept trying to shoehorn him into the number 1 spot, and he just kept losing the number 1 job to the backup every year. And we talked about this on the show a lot. Stop trying to make him the number 1 goalie. He's not a number 1 goalie. He's just not playing that way. And this season, I mean, number 2 the whole way, and he's been good. So I feel justified in our comments the past few years about that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, except for the ones where we said "wish he would die," get out of town. That's up.
You know what though? I mean,
we may have gone a little overboard. No, he's
really bad though. He was so bad.
He was, and he's really impressed me. I think this year, if nothing else, shows that he's a true professional at this point in his career. Which 2 years ago, when we could easily predict the February swoon. He didn't have the perseverance, but to get to this point in his career, to get locked in as a backup goalie and play this well, I think truly does show perseverance. So maybe he could be our Masterton Award nominee. I don't know. Maybe that's the argument I'm trying to make here. But on the other side of the ice, I saw you had this in there, Stolarz. He played really well too.
He was very good.
He's a big guy,
especially early.
Yeah.
Petrangelo's goal to put the Blues up 2-1 came on the power play and went off the leg in front, then off Stolarz, off the post and in. You can't blame him for that one. I think and Sanford's goal in the third was a scramble that's off of a shot that squirted to him, and he had a down Stolarz from the initial shot. So both goals, the Blues, those 2 goals, the Blues scored on him.
Right.
I mean.
Right. And I think a lot of the Ducks players stopped playing after they thought they got possession twice on that Sanford sequence.
That was interesting because the first time they touched the puck was more of possession than the second time, but you see that called a lot. You see play stop after they gain possession like they did the first time. Well, they didn't gain possession. They touched it, but they didn't gain possession. But you do see them below the play dead after a play like that, but they didn't. And they were upset. And, looking at the replay, though, they didn't have it. I mean, so I'm not sure. I don't think they bitched too much. Pietrangelo added an empty net goal. And added.
No.
Oh, 19 minutes.
19 minutes.
19 minutes. Right.
And the game made up for Jay Bouwmeester.
Right.
How appropriate. Best friends.
In a game and it was funny too because the if you believe in fate or a higher power intervening in a hockey game, which to me is an absurd thing to do, like a higher power would waste their time on a sport. But anyway, the puck did seem to lay nice and flat, so it would slide into the goal and get there for the intended at 19 minutes. So the better team won this game. Stars kept it close and played very well, but the Blues left with the win, as they should have. And we talked about how well Allen played and how good he's been this season. So anybody that wants to call us Allen haters can go suck it. And let's see. Jimmy Anderson says J-Bo is the man and is doing good. So it's not really that bad. Just funny. Colorado won in overtime last night versus Rangers. We talked about, so they stay 2 points back of the Blues with the game in hand. Blues are first place in the Western Conference with 94 points, 2 ahead of Colorado and 8 ahead of Vegas. Dallas is dropping like a rock and can't seem to score goals recently. Only 3 goals scored this month, and it's only played 4 games, but still. They've lost 6 straight, including a home game, a home and a home with Nashville, who has stormed back into the playoff picture. Next up for the Blues, who the fuck knows? Who knows who it's going to be and who knows when?
Right. Would have been great to be able to get that game again against the Sharks. And I was feeling pretty good going into that.
But, yeah, I know, right? But I was going to buy. I almost bought tickets to that game a couple of days ago. But with the coronavirus going around, I thought, okay, well, I think a lot of people might stay away from that game, or some might, just because they're not going out with crowds. And so the tickets might be, a little cheaper, available on the second market, trying to get rid of them. More people selling them. So I was going to wait. And then the rumor came they're going to cancel the season. I'm like, oh, well, I'm not going to buy them now until I would have bought them to go to the game if they were still available and not canceling the season like Friday morning.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah,
but no, I will not be going to that game. At least not on the current schedule on Friday. All right. Well,
we apologize for the technical difficulties at the beginning of the show.
Yeah, that was bad. That was it was Stage 10 is our streaming provider, and
they ain't working tonight.
No, they there was an issue there, and we could not get in there to get the stream started. So that was why the problem was. And then Lightstream is the new one, which we use tonight, which some people comment on they liked a lot, which I do love. But there's some issues with this thing. So, and Jeff Ponder says, "Hey, mention we're going to be back every week." Yes. During the pause to the NHL season, we will be doing shows, whether it be a live show if there's news to talk about, or Jeff Ponder is doing some interviews. So he may release he either will live shows or will release pre-recorded interview shows that Jeff's doing. So,
and if we get really desperate, we might just live stream some of our NHL 94 tournament preparations.
That'd be great. That'd be cool. Yeah. Maybe we'll do that. So yeah, we will have shows every week, whether it be live or interview format. So just like the summer series. Let's see. B&H Kell says, Kurt, I believe in divine intervention in Blues hockey after last season. I definitely do. Okay.
Oh, speaking of that, see Tony X's tweet tonight?
No.
It was picture of Death standing next to a guy saying, and I quote, "If the Blues win the Stanley Cup, you can kill everybody."
Oh yes,
yeah.
I did see that. Yeah.
Hilarious stuff. Because it's starting to feel that way.
Yeah. So no fancy intro music and whatnot, or outro closing music tonight because of we kind of had a rush to put this all together on this new platform. So it's just bare bones. But to be honest, the graphics on the show looks good. I mean, on the display. So anyway. We'll try and get it. Well, hopefully things are resolved. I assume that they might be resolved now, the way things work, but couldn't get it in time for the show. Next week will be better. That'll wrap up episode 54 of season 8 of the original St. Louis Blues Hockey Podcast, Let's Go Blues Radio. Thanks for listening, everyone, and thanks to those who participated in the YouTube chat during the live show. It was quite active this evening. We hope you guys enjoyed it as much as we've enjoyed bringing it to you. For the Jeff Ponder, who is sitting at home, just sad, listening to the show,
hanging out with the people of the YouTube
hanging
chat.
out in the YouTube chat. For Jeff Ponder and Bill Day, I'm Kurt Price. Until next time, everyone, let's go Blues.
Let's go Blues.
I'll be Jeff Ponder. Let's go Blues.
Chiefs are at home tonight.
Plus, he's available.